Happy Sunday morning, April 18, 2021. I'm Riley King. Welcome to this Sunday morning edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. It's time to rise and shine and get this Sunday off to a good start. We have a little bit of everything for you in this program. So sit back, relax, grab that good cup of coffee, and enjoy the morning show with Riley King. It is Sunday, April 18, 2021. Let's begin this Sunday edition of the morning show with Riley King right now. First up, let's take a look at your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University and Medicine. And here's a check of that COVID-19 dashboard for all of you from Johns Hopkins COVID-19 and Medicine. Your global cases are 140,807,653. Your U.S. cases are 31,628,690. Your global deaths are 3,012,839. Your U.S. deaths are 566,904. And that is a look at your COVID-19 dashboard from Johns Hopkins University and Medicine. Now let's get to some other news. First up, COVID-19 cases rising in nearly half of the U.S. Let's take a listen to that video right now from ABC News.
Don't just take time off.
Now to the pandemic and cases rising in nearly half the country. The upper Midwest hit especially hard. Dozens of hospitals in Michigan at 95% capacity. And globally, another painful milestone. More than 3 million people now dead from COVID-19. ABC's Rena Roy from Minneapolis.
Tonight, that staggering new milestone, 3 million people killed by COVID-19 worldwide. Here in the U.S., cases rising in nearly half the country. In the upper Midwest alone, the number of people fighting the virus in the hospital up 14% in the last week.
Patients are again lining our hallways like they were last spring. This situation is very serious.
At least 35 hospitals in Michigan now at 95% capacity. The family of 35-year-old Vincent Welch says he was desperately trying to get the vaccine, but died on Friday of coronavirus complications before he was able to.
Everything that had happened from him starting to get sick until the very end will haunt me for the rest of my life.
All 50 states now planning to expand eligibility to anyone 16 and older by next week. But the pause on Johnson & Johnson's single shot still in effect after 6 women who recently got it suffered rare but severe blood clots. The CDC Advisory Committee will meet Friday to potentially vote on a recommendation.
This is a reflection of the safety system working.
Angie Wilson, a Detroit nurse anesthetist, says she was hesitant to get vaccinated, but with younger patients flooding her hospital, she decided on the J&J vaccine. The extended pause has her on edge, but she's still glad she got the shot.
I went and got my COVID antibodies checked, and they're positive, so they're growing, and it gives me a sense of a little security.
When it comes to this fourth surge, health officials say variants are likely to blame, with the UK variant now responsible for nearly half of all U.S. cases. Whit?
And that variant now in all 50 states as well. Rena, thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. Ceremony honors life of Prince Philip. Let's take a listen to that video from ABC News.
If you can't find anywhere that can brew your organic beer, you grow your own organic brewery, naturally. Michelob Ultra Pure Gold, organic by nature.
We begin tonight with a poignant goodbye for Prince Philip. The ceremony, sparse by British royal standards, a symbol of the impact of the coronavirus during this time. The prince's casket arriving atop a specially designed Land Rover, his wish. His naval cap, the sword given to him by the Queen's father, George VI, resting with flowers chosen by the Queen. Princes Harry and William reuniting, Harry traveling from the States for the funeral, the brothers walking behind the casket you see there, supporting their grandmother. The Queen and Prince Philip married 73 years. Due to COVID protocols, the 94-year-old monarch sitting alone during the service at St. George's Chapel. The images from today, a reminder to so many here and around the globe of their own loss and grief wrought by the pandemic. ABC's James Longman leads us off from Windsor.
It was where they fell in love a lifetime ago, and today a sunlit Windsor was where the Queen said goodbye to her prince. The Duke of Edinburgh planned every detail of his funeral, and while it was far smaller than it would have been because of the pandemic, the power of the pomp and ceremony was not diminished. In a year marked the world over by loss, millions watched a family mourn a husband, father, grandfather, and great-grandfather. Prince Philip's military service was honoured front and centre. On his flag-draped casket, a white naval cap and sword. His no-nonsense practicality reflected in the Land Rover used to carry his coffin, a car he spent nearly 20 years designing. Behind, his 4 children and grandsons, William and Harry, separated by their older cousin Peter Phillips, but still walking side by side in a moment of unity for their beloved grandfather, who stood by them through the worst time in their lives, the death of their mother, Princess Diana. And then the Queen, a wife in mourning, the State Bentley bringing her directly to the chapel. Theirs was an enduring love story. She fell for the handsome sailor when she was just a girl. Philip, a devoted partner, 2 paces behind Her Majesty in public, but in private, the rock that held the family together. She called him her strength and stay through 73 years of marriage. The family walking in slow, sombre procession, the Queen looking back at her husband's casket before entering the chapel, where she would sit alone. The nation pausing for a minute's silence to honour the Duke. Naval pipers signalling the moment to enter the chapel. COVID limiting the service to just 30 close family members, donning black masks, and just 4 choir singers. The Queen bowing her head as the Dean of Windsor remembered her husband.
We remember the many ways in which his long life has been a blessing to us.
Royal buglers of the Royal Marines sounding a military alert, action stations at Prince Philip's request. And this perhaps the most poignant moment, the national anthem sung for a Queen who must now reign alone. God save the Queen. The words have perhaps never had more meaning, a family's private grief in public view. But their duty fulfilled, leaving the chapel together, William, Kate and Harry among them, a family united, heading to comfort their grandmother.
Coming together to remember the prince. James Longman joins us now from Windsor tonight. And James, this was really such a powerful service, especially in this time of the pandemic. And now everyone really looking to the Queen and how she mourns the loss of her husband.
Yeah, well, it really was an extraordinary day. Yes, a Queen saying goodbye to her prince, but equally a family supporting their grandmother. And we know it's duty first for the Queen, so I think we can expect her back at work pretty soon. And just like his funeral today, I think that's exactly what Philip would have wanted. Whit?
All right, James, our thanks to you tonight.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And we're going to switch gears now. Let's go into weather. And here's a look at air temperatures across the United States for all of you. Over in Boston, it'll be cloudy and 59 degrees. In New York City, it'll be cloudy and 63 degrees. Washington, D.C., 67 degrees with sun and a few clouds. In Atlanta, it'll be 72 degrees and sunny. Jacksonville, Florida, rain and 70 degrees. Tampa Bay, Florida, some clouds and thunderstorms, 82 degrees. In Miami, Florida, just cloudy with a little bit of sun, 87 degrees. In Dallas, Texas, it'll be 69 degrees with sun and a few clouds. In Phoenix, it'll be 82 degrees with sun and a few clouds. Las Vegas, sunny, 80 degrees. Los Angeles, sunny and 88 degrees. San Francisco, a few clouds, 67 degrees. And that is a look at the weather across the United States for all of you for this Sunday. And we are going to switch gears now. Maine responds to climate change with lobster fishing standards. Let's take a listen to that video from NBC News Today show.
When you buy this plant at Walmart, Abe and Art can grow more plants so they can hire more employees. Like me.
This is spring training for the Lucky Catch crew in Portland, readying their traps and boats for the annual migration of lobsters and tourists to Maine's coast. Dave LaLiberty, now in his 20th year of pursuing the catch of the summer.
One of the fun things about lobster fishing, you never know what's going to be in a trap when it comes up.
You like that uncertainty.
I love it.
Adding to the uncertainty, warming waters fueled by climate change, says research scientist Dr. Kathy Mills.
The Gulf of Maine has been warming about 3 times faster than oceans around the world for the past 3 decades. And in the past 10 years, we've been warming about 5 times faster.
In southern New England, warmer waters contributed to a 78% decline in lobsters, while lobsters in Maine boomed, up 515%. The difference, scientists say, the decades-long conservation practices of Maine lobstermen.
There we go. We got lobsters in the first trap.
Marking egg-bearing females and tossing them back, along with lobsters too big and too small.
I do think the industry is very well self-regulated. It's also the lobstermen that are coming up with these rules and regulations.
Is it even more important in the era of climate change?
Absolutely. They are creating this added boost, this added buffer that then enables that population to withstand other effects that might be associated with changing environmental conditions and climate change.
To preserve a way of life that goes back to pre-colonial times and still delights today's American. Look at those claws. Mark Merrill's lobster shipping business jumped 600% during the pandemic. What responsibility do you have?
We're kind of an ambassador between the fisherman and the customer. So our responsibility is really to communicate, this is what we do here. This is why we love the Maine lobster fishery.
A product lobstermen want to last.
You're protecting your own future, you know. Every lobster I throw back, I'll get it again. It's going to go down there. It's going to eat a little more. It's going to fatten up, and we'll catch it next time.
Building a future resilient against the tide of climate change. For today, Ann Thompson, NBC News, Portland.
Beautiful part of the country there as well.
Sure is. So important what they're doing for a real staple.
Okay, very cool indeed.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel.
And we are going to switch gears now. And let's go into entertainment news. And in entertainment news, Prince Philip laid to rest. Why Queen Elizabeth II sat alone at the funeral. Let's take a listen to that video from Entertainment Tonight.
Pack up and pedal out with 2 liters of storage. Minus the sweaty bag.
This is a CBS News special report remembering Prince Philip.
the Duke of Edinburgh.
Queen Elizabeth sat alone during the funeral of her husband, Prince Philip, a choice that reflected her trademark sense of responsibility.
Yes, Charlie, we're looking now at the Queen. She has stepped out of the Bentley and she's going into St. George's Chapel. You know, Tina, it's interesting. This is the first time many people are seeing her following the death of her husband. And we know that she will have to sit alone in the chapel.
The funeral services were broadcast around the world on Saturday, but the private ceremony itself included just 30 close members of the family.
If there's one thing that we know about Prince Philip is that he really does not like fuss, and he made that known when it came to planning his funeral as well.
While it's certainly a heartbreaking image, there's a good reason Queen Elizabeth was seen by herself throughout the service, where she said goodbye to her husband of 73 years.
Prince Philip will be interred in the Royal Vault at St. George's Chapel, which is where the Queen will also one day be laid to rest.
Even in these unfortunate circumstances, Buckingham Palace continued following COVID-19 procedures for the ceremony, which required members of each family to sit separately in St. George's Chapel.
I know that it's all part of COVID protocols, but the fact that you're thinking she's lost her husband of, 73 years, she's going in to pay final respects, and that she has to sit alone, Tina, during the service.
There's the Queen going to be sitting alone, mourning this man who has been her strength and stay, as she said, her rock all the way through her life.
In addition, Prince Harry was required to quarantine upon arriving in the UK from California.
He is in isolation or quarantine at Frogmore Cottage, which is, of course, the couple's UK base. So what sort of a homecoming is it going to be for Prince Harry? Well, a deeply emotional one. I think that much we can be sure of. I'm sure that he's desperate to see his grandmother, the Queen. But of course, given what has happened and what the Queen is going through, I would imagine that she is probably the first person he will want to see as soon as he's been given the all clear.
It should also be noted that Queen Elizabeth will celebrate her 95th birthday next week, which presumably reinforced the necessity of these strict protocols.
He worked closely with the Lord Chamberlain's office at Buckingham Palace to ensure that it wasn't a blown-up affair, and that means that it won't be a state funeral. Instead, it will be a royal ceremonial funeral, which will be a much more private affair.
And while the royal services at St. George's Chapel felt the impact of the coronavirus pandemic, we do know that Prince Philip wanted his funeral to be an intimate family gathering.
It's the same place that Harry and Meghan got married. It's also a place that's considered a family chapel rather than a public gathering space. And so this will really give a chance for the royals to remember his life in a very peaceful and quiet way. It also avoids the worries that the government have over people congregating during the time of the pandemic. For Prince Philip, this is exactly what he wanted. It's the send-off that he had asked for.
Okay, and there you go on that video and that report. And thank you for joining us for this Sunday edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Have a great rest of your Sunday, everyone, and see you back here tomorrow for another edition of The Morning Show with Riley King. Have a great Sunday. Goodbye, everyone.